So it's my pleasure to be your coach on Susie's amazing platform this week. And, I'm so rather excited to be working with you, and that whatever we do this week will really help your resilience. So a little bit about me as people are joining. I live in Edinburgh, I travel all over. I run 2 companies. My coaching company, I'm an executive coach in organisations, generally working with leadership. I also run the Resilience Engine, which is a relatively new business, but born out of many, many years of research. And it was really born in order to give voice to what resilience is, and to bring it out to a very different kind of, in a different way than I had been doing previously. So I started the research off in 2007. Other people have come into that research consortium with me since about 2012-13. And we do kind of a big set of research every year, but actually our analysis is about every 2 years. And we're looking at personal resilience, team resilience, organizational resilience. So it's pretty extensive work. And the kind of people that we work with at the moment tend to be in organisations. We can be working with all staff. We're working in the NHS. We're working with junior doctors. We're working with GPs. It can be with managers. I don't know how many of you actually have your own staff. And of course, with staff comes a whole ton of responsibility, and often that means a few headaches. And it can also mean with leaders. So I tend to work at the leadership level, working with organisations, and overall kind of what the strategy is, etc. But actually looking at the more human end of that. So within all of that, I'm actually going to offer you a couple of thoughts really each day around resilience. I think we should start off with a question: is what does resilience mean for you? What does resilience mean for you? And I'm wondering what you're wondering now. I'm wondering if you're wondering about your day, for example. What it's going to be like, whether you're going to have some hard stuff in the middle of that. I wonder whether you've come into Susie's group because you're wanting a change from something. And actually, maybe that change involved some really tough times for you, and you're beginning to come through that. So you might actually be considering things like bounce back. So anyone who wishes to open out on comments, please do. It would be absolutely brilliant. Being strong in the face of adversity. I mean, strong is a very interesting word. And if we think about strong versus tough, that's a different kind of mentality. It's a different way to actually think. So a lot of our resilience resides in how our mind is. It also resides in our body. And sleep is a big healer, and it's a sort of, it sorts out all of your mind and what you've been thinking about into its sense making while you sleep. It also does some musculoskeletal work. In fact, in every sleep cycle has a different kind of healing and sorting mechanism, and it focuses on different things depending upon the number of sleep cycles you have. I've just found out I'm a wannabe tennis player. I think I'm Maria Sharapova while I'm on the court, but actually I'm lumbering Jenny Campbell, who's slightly overweight. And actually my memory of tennis shots and what they do, if I don't have enough sleep, in fact I discovered recently that I wouldn't be able to remember actually any of the shots that my coach, I take some coaching now and again, would actually have offered me. So my body muscles will not remember unless I've actually gone into something like the 5th sleep cycle, which is extraordinary for me because I thought I was just being absolutely a dough ball when I couldn't actually get my forehand or my backhand or whatever it was working. So that's very interesting for me. So resilience resides in the mind and the body. So Susie, coping, absolutely, it includes that. And change is quite a different thing than coping. And we'll look at that definitely tomorrow. So, interesting those differences. Good morning to Jane. Yeah, fast changing. I think that's incredibly important. We are overwhelmed really by stuff that's going on, both at the macro level, whether we're thinking about Trump and Brexit and the implications for ourselves, versus right down to our families, ourselves, our bodies, our minds, what we're wanting to affect change in our local context. So, and it's all just quite overwhelming because it's so fast. So actually being able to see the wood from the trees and all that, it's very important. And being able to bounce back, absolutely. As the tennis fan, I watched Andy Murray yesterday and was shouting at the TV. Absolutely thrilled that he has come back and he won a tournament, which was, he is the bounce back king when we look at that. Paul, ability to think clearly, and I think that's actually very interesting. So perspective is a key part of resilience, being able to specifically create the conditions for yourself to gain perspective. And one of the things we're going to bring up to date is the Resilience River. I don't know whether you've seen the lovely photo that I posted, but I'll come back to that. Trusting yourself to have the resourcefulness, and I think that's, what a lovely thing to say, the trust in yourself. And that in itself is interesting, and trusting that you can gain your own resources in the moment that you need it, in those moments, even if it's an extended period that you need it. Those with the highest resilience remain resourceful no matter what's going on, right? So, and part of that is that they really trust how they learn. So the fact that you guys come into Susie's platform, that you're learning, that you're putting your learning hat on, that even if you're feeling a bit, low, or if you're feeling just overwhelmed or over busy, that you make a little space in your mind and in your day for learning, I think is really at the heart of the higher levels of resilience. Really interesting. We've got coping, we've got a bounce back, we've got strong, and we've got the idea and the notion of resourcefulness, which is very much at the heart of what resilience is like. And from all of that, you can see that there are differing views, right? And there are some behind there that I imagine that you may have, which are not so helpful, right? And we're going to be doing some busting of myths, things like the difference between strong versus tough, okay? Things about control. Very often when people are feeling overwhelmed, or and you may be in this situation where you think that things are really not going well for you, you seek control. Now, control is an interesting thing to get hold of. It's very helpful in order to be able to cope. However, as we were just discussing, there's so much change going on, there's so many things that are out with your control, that actually, what do you do about that? And again, those with the highest resilience are very, very comfortable with not having control. And what they do is trust themselves to be able to learn, or to be able to draw on help, or to be able to actually be safe. There's a definition of resilience is how safe you feel in any situation, so that they'll be safe in their own feet and their own skin, no matter what's going on. And that's because they trust that they know themselves well enough They trust that their intentions are good, is aligned to who they are, and even if stuff is going on, that they trust that they will have the room and the perspective to be able to react well in any situation. So a lot of this is actually, you kind of, people call resilience the golden thread of life, where it connects so much up to a kind of aligned way, a consistent way of living and working. So I hope that's been quite interesting already, just to notice that. Let me come to the notion of, with all that research, there's one thing really that I think is really fabulous in this to remember, and this notion of resilience is like a river. So you may live near a river. I've just come down from the north, actually. I was in Ullapool, and beside the sea, but also with the river there. And, if you're thinking about a river, there are rocks in the river, there are pebbles in the river, there's lots of sand and baseline in the river, there are banks, it's going somewhere. And your own resilience is like a river, okay? So interestingly, whatever rocks are in the river, whatever stones are in the river, whatever pebbles are in the river, if the river is high, you're whooshing over them. The river is not taken off course. The river isn't split. It has a certain level of energy. It goes towards where the river is going, okay? And you really whoosh over those rocks and stones and pebbles. But if the river is low, and you're really noticing, that for example, your energies are low, or your capacity to think, or your trust in yourself has dropped, the river is low, you'll bang into those rocks, you'll bang into those pebbles, and all of a sudden everything seems huge. So a little pebble this size, a small pebble, when the resilience river is low, will appear huge. And you can get hijacked by that. You can all of a sudden think that that is the thing to concentrate on, right? Also, we can get hijacked, we can get stopped. We concentrate on a whole ton of stones that actually, another day we might just whoosh by. So I wonder if that kind of idea is making sense to you. And I wonder what your resilience river is like today. What's your resilience river like today? And I'll let you just ponder that. And I've been thinking about this for myself this morning, what my resilience river is like. And it's pretty high. I've just had a week of holiday with my family. They're very dear to me, and I don't get so much time with them as I would like. So I've got two young kids of 11 and 13, and my husband, who tends to do a lot of the care. And it's really powerful, both to be with them. They're part of, in my book I talk about secure bases, so these are the things or the places or the people that you go to, that you are with, who you both feel completely yourself with, completely able to be safe with, but also inspire you to be more, to be bigger, to be stronger, to be better, to stretch yourself. And so often family are able to do that for you. And Ullapool, and particularly just north of Ullapool in Ardmere, is a place which is absolutely like that for me. So I've come back and my river is pretty high. And I know that there's a couple of rocks in there. There's one that's so familiar to me that I carry every day. It's like, I say hello to that rock, and it's a big one. So I'm the main breadwinner of my family. And running two businesses has not been necessarily that easy in the last couple of years. And so my resilience river has been going up and down all over the place. But that rock is a rock of needing to feed my family, needing to pay the mortgage every month. And it's a rock that I carry in the river. So if the river is not high enough, then actually I really, really feel that, and it's painful sometimes. I can be banging into that and really feel quite low in it. So the river is high today, and I expect it will be for quite a while, so that's brilliant. So I'm carrying that rock with me all the time. And I'm wondering, as I speak, what your resilience river is like. Do share, if you can, what you're thinking about for yourself today. There are other things that are in my river. I'm slightly overweight, so this absolutely affects my resilience. So, I am an exerciser, I'm a hill walker, I play tennis, so I'm not massively overweight, but I'm actually, maybe it's because of my age, I'm not sure, but I've over a certain level of overweightness. So if I'm just, if I'm about half a stone kind of above where I would really like to be, I'm okay. But if I'm a bit above that, my breathing is affected. So I've had allergic asthma all my life, and now I can have chronic asthma if I'm of a higher weight. And it really is difficult to breathe. If anyone has suffered asthma, it's pretty tough. So that's another kind of smaller rock, and it's in at the moment, and I'm going, okay, I need to pay attention here because I don't feel as resilient. So I'm getting in your comments now, so that's lovely. Sounds of the river's louder. Is it low? That's very interesting, and it may be exactly like that. So interestingly, we may get caught or overwhelmed by that sound, Cheryl. So, being able to notice that sound, if it's coming in for you, and actually saying, do you know what, the pebbles could get me today, but actually what could I do to raise the river up? Financial worries, if any of you are self-employed, it's there. So will the energy of the river, energy and resilience are absolutely directly related. Energy is a massive contributor to resilience. It's not everything of resilience. I mean, I've already talked about perspective, the idea of safety, and the idea of sort of resourcefulness and learning. But energy is a huge thing. So that mind-body piece. So how much mental energy you have, how much physical energy you have, the emotional energy, and what I describe as spiritual energy, or things that inspire you. So Ullapool and my family really inspire me, and it's been really helped. So that rock. So many of you are what's interesting in here is many of you are naming some of the rocks and pebbles that are there. So, morning walk gives you resilience, absolutely. And actually creating habits, and I'm sure that across the platform, you've discussed habits many times. Resilience can be a flabby set of muscles in us all, and actually attending to them gives you an incredible level of energy, of safety, of learning, of capability, of being able to, and as I say in the book, sort of perform in whatever that means to you in your life. So being successful with your family, being successful in sport, or in a hobby, being successful in work, and however that means for you. Being able to do that day in, day out requires resilience, not just from a persistence, let's hang in and be tough there, but actually more about your responses, that ability to be able to be flexible and react according to the intention that you would wish, no matter what's going on. So it is helpful to name the rocks. So there are two ideas that I have for you, and I'm aware of time now. You can use your resilience river, or that analogy, every day of your life. You can today be anticipating what those rocks or stones or pebbles are, okay? And actually, some of them are real, right? Some of them are really real. Some of them, if your resilience river is low, you may be blowing out of proportion, Okay, so be aware that actually a pebble today, if your resilience river is low, may actually appear much bigger because you're seeing it like this. Give yourself a moment. Give yourself a moment to notice that and actually kind of go, do you know what? Don't actually have to pay attention to that one today. The one down at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's the thing I have to pay attention to. Or this evening when I'm seeing my partner, when I'm seeing my kids or whatever it is, going to your parents to help them, seeing yourself, doing something for yourself. Actually, that's the thing I really need to attend to. Okay, so using it as a barometer of the day and deciding how you're going to navigate your day is incredibly helpful. And all the practitioners that we have within our community are all doing that on a very regular basis. Of course, you can use it developmentally as well. So if you are seeing both rocks and stones in there, or if you are have a pattern of once you've got a rock in there, you get hijacked by it, and then you kind of go, do you know what? I'm really hijacked by this. I'm going to get all those other rocks that I'm really hijacked by, and they're all going to come into the river. And so you can make it worse for yourself. You get a pattern of that, okay, in your life. You may actually notice that. The more you notice your resilience river and actually start to kind of look underneath that and say, what is it about those rocks that they're there? How is it that I can actually make things worse for myself? Or how is it that I've got those rocks or stones in there in the first place? Maybe how can I get rid of them? So you can use it developmentally as well. Using the idea of the resilience river, noticing instead of being hijacked by the rocks, how to lift the river up. How do you lift the river up? What are the conditions for you, for your resilience to be at the highest it can be today? How could you give yourself more energy? How could you give yourself more perspective? Okay, so that's my offer to you today. I hope that's useful for you. I'm sure that you may have some ideas, for yourself. If you haven't, give yourself, a minute. Notice maybe a time when your river was high. Think about what was going on at that point. Maybe get hold of a little memory. Memories are useful for resilience because they actually resource you, the good memories. So, bring in your resourcefulness. Bring in other people if you need a bit of a lift. Very often, if my resilience river is low, I look for things like, how can I have a good laugh today? Who's going to help me have a good laugh? And I'll go and seek them out. These sorts of things are amazing because if your resilience river is high or a bit higher, you won't get hijacked by the rocks and you'll make better decisions, clearer decisions and faster decisions over everything of how you navigate in your day-to-day. So I leave you with that idea. And I'm just looking to see if there are any other comments that I can actually kids enjoy throwing rocks in your river. Yeah, you can throw them right back at them sometimes, Cheryl. And yeah, some of that deeper stuff is fears behind the rocks. But there's a practical thing that really I'd like to offer you there is, whilst those rocks are there, okay, you can get hijacked by the rocks, but actually often you need a resourceful kind of river to be able to shift them, to push them aside, to wash over them, to see them for what they are. So first of all, let's get our resilience river up higher. And at 27 minutes in, I think I will love you and leave you. I hope your resilience river is flowing a little bit more. So may your resilience be with you today, guys. And I'll see you tomorrow.